Before we begin, I just want to give a quick apology to Dennis Strogov. I know I said I would do Warrior next, and I did start to craft Dead Man's Hand Warrior. The thing is, I opened 2 copies of Conviction recently, so crafting 2 Glowstone Technicians to have a good hand buff Paladin deck was a lot easier for me to do than get the 3 missing Legendaries I need for Dead Man's Hand Warrior. I'm working on building my Warrior collection, trust me, it's just that this video was really convenient for me to make. Let's begin. Do you want to know more about a class? If yes, then you clicked on the right video. This is Class Overviews, a series where I go over one of the 10 Hearthstone classes, their playstyle, hero power, decks, staple legendaries, and if they are an overall good class to craft cards for in relation to the wild format specifically. I hope you can all get something out of this video, whether you are a new or returning player. Let's start with the recruit summoning, hand buffing, board flooding class. Paladin. These last few months aside, Uther has been a fairly liked guy over the years. While he was incredibly strong during Hearthstone's early life, thanks to cards like Shielded Minibot, Muster for Battle, and Mysterious Challenger, Paladin had found a good home in Wild, as a class that had a lot of niche decks, while always being relevant thanks to Odd Paladin. The weird thing is that despite it being one of the worst, Paladin's class identity revolves a lot around his hero power. Reinforce. 2 mana, summon a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit. This is just a bad hero power on its own. 2 mana for a 1/1 is obviously terrible, and has virtually no impact on the game. In most cases, you get little to no value from your hero power, and with the exception of one deck I will go over later, Paladin's hero power is just a liability for the class, and its weakest aspect by far. Now, what is Paladin's playstyle? Well, let's be honest, if you want to win, you just have to play tempo and aggressive strategies. Various OTK decks do technically exist, but they are just so unviable right now, it's not even worth considering them if you want to play ladder. Let's just see the 2 main decks Paladin has at the moment. Let's begin with a deck that has been relevant for quite a while. Odd Paladin. This is an aggro deck that focuses on using your now incredibly strong hero power that summons 2 1/1s instead of just 1. You use this hero power along with many cards that buff and flood your board to just overwhelm your opponent and win on turns like 5 and 6. Next up, Hand Buff Paladin. This is the background footage, by the way. This deck has actually somewhat been around for a while in Mech Hand Buff Paladin, but the current iteration of Hand Buff Paladin plays a lot differently. This is a tempo deck. You use the first few turns to fill your hand with minions, and then over the next few turns, buff them up until you can just swing the board back in your favor with extremely overstated cheap minions. Thanks to Conviction as well, you can easily have an OTK with your charge minions late game as well. Yes, you can literally deal 30 plus damage in one turn without having to build your deck around a specific combo. Hand Buff Paladin is really broken right now. Now, let's go into some staple class legendaries. These are legendaries that are either extremely strong or extremely versatile. As usual, if they only see play in one deck, I'll mention it when I cover them. Let's start with Lord Barov. He's just a spectacular board clear. Him into Broom is just a perfect combo, and you can really just put him in any Paladin deck that isn't hyper aggressive. He actually even sees play in Hand Buff Paladin at the moment just to deal with the Dark Lair Warlock matchup. Next, Murgurgle. He just does good base stats as a 2 mana 2/1 Divine Shield, meaning he trades for free, and his prime card has the upside of being a win condition all by himself. While he isn't an Odd Paladin or Hand Buff Paladin at the moment, he's just a card that can honestly be included in any deck that has room for a good early game minion. You just throw him in there. Lathraxian. He only sees play in Odd Paladin, but is a necessary addition for the deck. He just buffs your dudes a lot. Lastly, Sunkeeper Tarim. This might be a bit of bias I have towards the card because I really like it, but even after all these years, this guy is a good inclusion in a lot of decks. While he doesn't see play in Hand Buff or Odd Paladin, he's always just a card you can throw in a lot of different decks due to his flexibility to either buff your minions for a finishing combo or greatly weaken an enemy's board. Those are honestly just the only cards I would really say are class staples in Wild. Not that many compared to some other classes. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I don't think Paladin is that great of a class to craft cards for in Wild. His decks do perform well on ladder, yes. The thing is, though, there's no real variety in the class. Hand buff Paladin only really became good after the release of the last expansion, and the deck just keeps getting nerfed each patch, so I don't know how long it's really going to stick around for. And besides that, you just have Odd Paladin. That's it. Just a hyper aggro deck is all you can play in the class. If you want to play competitively on ladder, I would just play another class like Warlock. They have a much wider variety of strong ladder decks and can fit a much larger variety of playstyles. Unless you really want to try out something weird. Paladin has a lot of OTKs like I mentioned earlier. There's things like Anyfin Paladin, and you have other cards like Death Knight Uther to enable OTKs. But you're not playing these on ladder, let's be honest. Overall, I just can't really recommend crafting cards for Paladin if you want to play Wild. But that's just my opinion. If you have fun with the class, don't let me stop you from playing them. And with that, Zedud out.